Hello, all, and welcome back to another episode of TV and Us, a conversation show about the TV series we just can't stop talking about. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And each season, we focus on a different show, reviewing it episode by episode, and we invite you to watch along with us. Right now, we are reviewing Marvel's Echo, and today we are on episode 5, the season finale of this miniseries, and this episode is titled Maya. If you haven't watched it yet, this is your spoiler. Please check it out before continuing to listen to the rest of this episode. All right. Sarah, kick us off with an IMDb summary for Echo episode 5.
The lives of Maya's family hang in the balance when Fisk's army invade the Choctaw Nation powwow.
All right. Here we are, the finale of this miniseries. We made it. It's been a bumpy ride, but we made it.
Yep.
Let's kick off with our episode titles of choice for episode 5. What was yours?
Mine is Fireworks Show.
Nice. Yeah. There's with every great finale, we need some fireworks. Always.
You sure do. Yeah.
Always.
A finale is not complete without fireworks. I mean, the alliteration alone.
Yes.
What are you going to do with it? Can't have a finale without fireworks. Come on.
Mm-hmm. My episode title of choice is Not Today.
Nice. That was the other one that I was thinking about.
No.
I'm so glad I went with a different one.
It's so funny because the fireworks show is also one that I was going to choose. It was just going to be fireworks. Great minds, man.
Amazing.
Great minds.
Yeah, I love it.
Our minds are even more great that we knew what the other was going to choose and chose the other thing. Now that's some next level.
That's true. We understand each other now.
Yes.
You know, we're a few episodes in. Got the hang of this.
Yeah. Okay, well, this plane has landed for the show. We have arrived here at the final episode, and I am intrigued to hear your thoughts about how the show did as far as wrapping up this narrative arc. What did you think? Episode 5.
Yeah, this is yet another stop on my journey of disappointment. In a very similar vein as our entire last episode. Just see all of my complaints about that and just apply them here. I think there is so much good here. It's just improperly utilized. So there's that beautiful moment between Maya and her mom. It's so heartfelt. It's lovely. It's great. It'll make you feel all the feels, but it's just the rest of the show didn't set it up. And I'm like, if this is what we were building to, why didn't you build to that? I don't understand. Why am I not properly set up for this? And then the final fight too, this final like big explosive set piece was so short and wasn't climactic at all. It was cool to see like the ancestors and her like sharing powers with Bonnie and her grandma. Like that's really cool and all, but like I don't know, like it wasn't as exciting and explosive as it could have been. So there's these moments in this show where I'm like, man, that was really good, but it was just like mistimed, or it wasn't set up properly, or you didn't have enough time to actually explore it the way that you should have. And so once again, there are elements of this that I really, really love, but because everything didn't come together well as a cohesive whole, I'm still left disappointed.
But you know what narrative arc we did get? Biscuit
What did we get?
Monster Truck.
Yes.
Coming through as he's like, not today.
Amazing. So
Wow.
good.
Now that is a full story. We start off, the truck is used in an exciting mission, and then we walk through the shadow of death, the valley of the shadow of death, and it's all broken. And then he's searching, he's committed, he's persistent, and he gets his final glory. Satisfying, right in the soul. That's some good writing there.
Sure. I'm very glad that Biscuit's story came full circle. Like, that's important. You know, why introduce Biscuits if you're not going to give him something important to do? And he affected the plot. He got a previous superhero award, and he absolutely does some superhero stuff in this episode too. Amazing. Just a family full
Oh,
of superheroes.
yeah, really though. Really though. Yeah, the rest of this is not good. Not good at all. I think just when the episode began, we're not even in like fully dove in yet, but just the 34 minutes of it all just feels, I think this is the shortest, maybe the shortest episode of the entire season. I don't know, but this was not going to bode well. There's so many loose ends to tie up in 34 minutes. And as no surprise to anyone, there wasn't enough time to really explore a lot of them. Some of the things around the healing of past traumas, which I think is kind of a big theme in this episode specifically, we see that really wonderful conversation between Maya and her mother, and so much about that traumatizing moment for her where she loses her mother is reframed for her in many ways because her mother essentially shows her by going back to that memory that there was a sacrifice of love and kind of a passing down of powers and connection to her roots that was also very beautiful in that moment that has always been a source of pain for Maya. And then Maya attempts to heal Kingpin. And I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts about this whole scene because I don't think that we've been prepared enough for that scene to have emotional weight. And I think it's also misguided in the fact that like there isn't enough of a connection, I think, between Maya and Kingpin and her understanding of who he is and all of that we've gotten for, I feel like for her to like throw him back into a like arguably the most traumatizing moment of his life and expect or believe that he would be ready for that. And I think in general that's kind of problematic to like force that upon someone. And clearly we see that Kingpin is also not emotionally ready for that type of exposure. And I just went down this whole thought train rabbit hole around this tactic being used in context around psychotherapy and healing and PTSD growth and trauma healing, but it's often in environments where there's someone that is incredibly well informed and licensed to like safely bring you to those moments so that it is a healing experience and not exposing new wounds that are then re-traumatizing for you. So I just had a lot of problems with the way that whole thing unfolded, which I think is, I mean, it doesn't work from a storytelling perspective, but I also think it's pretty misguided as far as like the larger implications of this type of approach. So I got all kinds of feels that came up with that whole scene. I'm curious your thoughts about that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that scene at all. I was like, why are we doing this? You only have 35 precious minutes, 34, whatever. You have way too limited of a time in this runtime. And this is where we're going. This is what you're focusing on. Why do we care about Kingpin? Why are we trying to redeem him? He sucks. He killed his dad with a ball peen hammer. Why? What are we doing here? So like I just chose to check out of that moment rather than interrogate it further. But you're absolutely right. And again, like I think that could be super interesting to explore. So like Maya gets these powers. She has this transformative experience and she is healing and experiencing emotional growth and she's experiencing community and love again in a way that she hasn't, and then she wants to share it with others. And so then she does it and she does it badly and then has to learn from that. Like I feel like that's something that like we do as people, you know, like we get a little bit of healing or you know, we start going to therapy and we start experiencing some success and then we want everybody to have that too, and sometimes that goes badly. And so you have to figure out how to use these
Mm-hmm.
things correctly. I feel like that would be super interesting to explore, kind of the fallout of her getting healed and how she then learns to interact with everybody else. But again, this show doesn't really know what it's trying to be. And so then we have this moment that doesn't seem to really fit in anything. And again, I don't feel like that was set up correctly for Maya either. Like this whole show, she's wanted to destroy Fisk. She tried to shoot him in the eyeball. Like, you have to be really, really mad at a person to try and do that. And then just a few episodes later, she's trying to heal his deepest wound. And the show doesn't set that up. And I get it. She has experienced this transformative moment, but it's too quick, and it's like weirdly, I don't know, it just didn't make sense. It felt so out of place to me. And I was like, why couldn't we just omit this? Again, you only have 34 minutes. Why are we doing this? Why can't we just have more of you embracing your family rather than centering this on Fisk? Because it's really not about him, it's about Maya. But her motivations for doing this didn't make sense to me. So then I wasn't focused on her in the end. I don't know. It didn't work. I don't understand why it was in there.
Mm-hmm. Which, per your previous point earlier, see the rest of our conversations about episodes 1 through 4, because this basically brings to the surface the core problem of the show, which is, does it want to focus on this relationship between Maya and Fisk, or does it want to focus on this relationship between Maya and her family? Like, we somehow are trying to do both, and we can't do both successfully. Bonnie's back, so that's a thing. Bonnie's back. Chula's
Sure is.
here. Like, the whole gang's
Yeah.
here. Henry's back. Biscuits is back. Like, that's really great. And there is like a small little denouement scene of like Maya choosing not to leave Tamaha and stay and show up to the family gathering. But like, there isn't enough meat and potatoes there for that to feel satisfying. So then it just felt like really cheesy and cheap. But had the show focused on the family dynamics and going back to your roots and her discovering powers and figuring out how that heals her and softens her, that's interesting. And the Fisk stuff can just be backdrop stuff. Like, he doesn't even actually even need to be in the show in that version of the story, because it's all about, hey, she's been hardwired with all these things from her big bad uncle, and now she's back and she's learning to be in community again, to be rooted in her ancestry, and it's all correlated with her discovering powers. That's a fabulous story. Would love to watch that show. Or there's a version of this that really focuses on her relationship with Kingpin and the complexities of it. And so when she does finally heal him at the end, or attempt to, that feels really meaningful, because she no longer sees him as a foe to take out with all of the methods that she used to do, focused on violence and aggression and all of that. No, she's learned a new way. But just, there's not enough to do both. We can't have it all. We tried to with this. We tried to. And I think it takes a much more efficient and smarter storyteller to effectively weave all of these things together in a really tight tapestry, versus this feeling like piles of yarn everywhere.
Yeah. This show definitely bit off more than it could chew, and it didn't constrain itself properly. And I think that we get like a pretty like sweeping story, but one that's shallow, when I think this should have been like a deeper character study that also has action and explosion and all of these other like cool things that you can do at the same time. But we needed it to be narrower and deeper rather than broader and shallow, which is what we got.
Yep. There was also no grit. That was one thing I was waiting for from last episode. Yeah. I'm like, okay, surely the season finale, we're going to get piles and boatloads of grit to like go out with a bang, because again, fireworks, finales, we love it. We love to see something big and exciting at the end. And we really don't get it at all. That sequence with all of her ancestors and Chula and Bonnie, I think should have been the moment, but we didn't have time, or there wasn't budget to like make that big and really commit to the choreography, the production design, all of the weaponry, the fake blood. Like, maybe they just ran out of money. I don't know. But I think the most gritty sequence of this entire show is from episode 2 in the skate rink. And even that one's pretty tame.
Yeah. I haven't thought about this as much as I would like to, but this show was positioned as this gritty Marvel property. It was going to be the grittiest Marvel show yet. And it's not, clearly. But like what makes something gritty? And that's what I've been kind of wondering since I finished this episode. Like obviously the fighting, the blood, the type of gore that you see is involved in grit. But I also think it's exploration of like darker themes. Usually you usually have like a darker, moodier protagonist, which I would say that Maya does fit into that category, but probably on like the like lighter end of it. But then I also think that for something to be truly gritty, you need real stakes and you need real tension and you need to be worried about what's going to happen to your protagonist, because your protagonist in something that's gritty is gonna get messed up. Like, I'm not sure that you can have grit and have your protagonist come out like smelling like a rose. And I feel like that's something that this show fails at consistently. I don't think that there are any stakes in this, like at all. There was not once that I was concerned for Maya and her safety. I always knew that she was going to come through just fine. She might have a couple of scrapes and bruises, but like on the whole, she's going to come out unharmed. And I think that's one of the fundamental flaws in this show. You need that like protagonist who you're not sure what they're going to do and you're not sure how they're going to make it out, and then they're in this like intense gory battle and they're wrestling with their own internal demons, and then when they come out and if they're victorious, then that's all the more exciting because you were so emotionally invested and you didn't know what was going to happen. But this, it was so predictable. It was so fast. It was kind of boring. And that's not what you want for your final fight with the bad guy in your final episode.
No, I think that's a really good point around stakes being missing. And the stakes are able to be present when we also know what our character desires, because the stakes are either, hey, like we fear for their life at the most basic human level, like they are in grave danger and we don't know if they will die or if they will survive. Those are immediate stakes. But there's also the stakes of like desires, ambitions that are unfulfilled. And the more big and dramatic the character is, like the absence of that desire being fulfilled will then leave our character in a worse, darker, more dramatic state, right? And I think that's also a problem, is that like we don't know what she wants. Therefore, when she doesn't get it, we also don't know what that means for this character. And if we don't know what she wants, then how can there be that absence or that gap or that feeling of like, oh, like this is hard for the character because they're going after this and it is not working out for them at all. And what does that mean emotionally for that character? Like we kind of don't really know for Maya. So I think that the like presence of desires fulfilled and unfulfilled like also plays such a big role in the stakes that are feel real for the character, from an emotional level and kind of like at a higher meta level beyond just like will they survive this fight or not, because plot armor.
Yeah. And it just goes back to what we were talking about. Like we need deeper with this character in particular in order for this story to work, because it really is all about Maya, but you don't really get to see her wrestling. You don't get to see her growth. She has this one moment with her mom, obviously very intense, transformative, excellent, but I don't know, it would have been so nice to see her wrestling with some of these things, and then she has that moment and then she has to wrestle with the growth too. And there's just not enough time. And the time that this show does have, I feel like was just allocated poorly. And so we're left with this story that is just kind of middling when it could have been quite good.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's so true. So true. I feel like the the pieces were there, and I think we were told a lot of who she is and what she wants versus really being able to see. her play that out. We were told that she has all this rage and this anger, and that it's been channeled and used by Kingpin. And we see moments of her rage and frustration and her taking it out in different ways. But on the whole, I think we know that cognitively more than we know that like emotionally. And I think the show doesn't do a good job of showcasing those moments where she's got this rage and she's been taught and has all of these established ways of handling that's been taught by this toxic figure in her life, that she's now learning to reframe and rewrite her story. Yeah, it's all there. It really is all there. It just was like mined and harvested in a really strange way.
Yeah, yeah.
All
So
there.
again, see our conversation from the previous episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anything else that stood out to you in episode 5?
Okay, so I have a nice and positive things to say, and then I have some questions
Okay.
that I would like to talk through.
All right.
So my positive thing that I really liked about this is Maya's mom has this power to heal. And what I loved about that is that she is deaf and her daughter is deaf. And that is so cool that she can heal physical ailments, but their deafness was not a problem to be fixed. It was not a thing to be healed. And I love that. I feel like for so long, deafness was seen as a problem, and that if you were not able to hear, you had to get as close to hearing as possible. And you had to become quote unquote normal for hearing people. And I feel like slowly but surely the culture is changing, and how deaf people are being seen is different, and not being able to hear is just a part of life, and it's not a problem to be fixed. And it's so subtle, but that stood out to me so much, and I love that was included. And I think that's something that the show does really, really well, is that representation and showing that deaf people live full lives. Deaf people can kick ass like Maya does. And so I think that this is just another really important moment. Even though the show is pretty mediocre, I think that moment is pretty powerful in what it says about just deafness in general not being a problem. So just wanted to point that out and celebrate that, because that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because I feel like each episode we always have that moment or that scene or that detail that is like the stroke of brilliance, like something that they
Mm-hmm.
nailed and is so important from a beyond just the storytelling, just at the larger level, at the societal level, and the way that we showcase who these people are and what their superpowers are. Truly, the show does that has these incredible moments. And man, if we could multiply those and tell a great story, I think this would be so strong and so meaningful for people to be able to watch and experience. Yeah. Every episode we've got
Mm-hmm.
one. We've always got one that's like, man, they did that really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what makes this movie or this show so frustrating, is that like you have these moments of brilliance. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, this is in there.
Yeah.
Why do we also have to have the bad too? Or why is this pace so weird? Anyway, again, see all of our other conversations.
Yeah. One of those other details that I thought was really great was Maya giving her powers to Chula and Bonnie for that fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many other superheroes have the ability to almost like share and transfer powers to normal everyday people that are not, gifted with these superpowers. But maybe there's a ton of them. I don't know. I'm not well versed in the superhero world, but it's not one that I see often. You've got this like usually this larger than life figure, and they are the truly the hero of the story. They come in to save the day, they come in and rescue people, and it's kind of this moment of glory for them. But it was really neat, and I think so fitting for this character, and kind of the way that the powers are passed down from generation to generation in this community of women, for her to transfer that power and share it with others so that they are fighting together. It's not Maya saving Chula and Bonnie. No, it's her sharing in her powers for them to fight and be badasses as well. And I thought that just that meta point around, like, there is actually greater power in our ability to share and be in community and fight together versus being that singular independent hero that goes out and rescues people. I thought was just like a really beautiful image, and that detail that we got to see showcased in that final scene. So I thought that was really good.
I loved that too. That's so good. It's so powerful. I also just really love the idea of Chula just beating people up. I'm here for that. She's great.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see her beat some dudes up. She can do it.
It was awesome. It was really awesome. Okay. Thoughts on the post-credit scene?
Again, I was just done. I was like, why are we doing this? It's like the show is not about Fisk. Like, why are we focusing on this dude? I know it's setting up another show,
Yeah,
but like, I don't care about him.
setting up another show where he's the mayor and running New York City, something. You know,
Yeah, because it's gonna be Daredevil
Okay.
again, I think is next, and they're bringing in the Netflix Daredevil folks to some degree, I guess. So that'll all tie in together. So I'm assuming that's what that is teeing up.
Interesting.
Yep.
All right. Well, Marvel's doing its Marvel thing.
It sure is. The machine's got to keep turning.
Yep. We're just one little link on a larger, bigger chain, plastered in gold, worth millions of dollars. Okay. Any other last thoughts about episode 5 before we give out some awards?
Yes, I do have a question. Actually, I have a couple of questions. Okay. So, number one, they're all tied together, so we can get through this however we want to. But number one, what do we think Fisk's plan was? Because like he and like a couple of henchmen steal Grandma and Bonnie, presumably to lure Maya in and then kill them while she watches emotional trauma, yada yada. And we have obnoxious dude atop an RV with a bazooka to murder the Choctaw people who are doing their performance, for lack of a better term. Like, I don't understand what he was doing here. Also, if the plan was to lure Maya, how did he lure her? Like, how did she know to come here? Because she got a couple of texts from Biscuits and a bird told her to come. Like, this is not a good plan. So it was like, is part of the superpowers everybody being able to like telepathically tell each other to come to this location because we're in danger? Like, it just, the setup for this episode made no sense to me. I was like, what is the plan here? What are we doing? Maya, why did you know to come here? Did I miss something? Maybe, because it didn't make sense.
Yeah, we also never figured out what Maya's plan was the whole time.
Her whole hello,
I have a plan, I have a strategy, don't worry, trust me. Yet to find out. We will never know. We'll never know what her plan was. But yeah, it's a little bit, I don't know if like his plan seemed to be like, I'm going to isolate you again by taking out everything that you love and have near and dear to you, but that's not quite compelling for this person to like repledge their loyalty to you. But I don't know. There's and I think part of his plan was to take out like the entire Choctaw people, which that in of itself I thought was like an, an eerie, just like visual scene to see this like white man infiltrate into this like celebration of Native
Mhm.
peoples and
Yeah.
like that. There's so much to unpack there as far as like meta commentary that this show clearly seems to be um insinuating at and all that. So I thought that was like pretty interesting. Like that is some grit. That is gritty when you really like multiply and think about uh US history. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't think anyone had a good plan. Or if they do, they're so good that we just don't know about them at all. No idea.
And I think that's what's like frustrating though is like Fisk clearly had some sort of plan, okay? And I just wish that we had known that. Like we needed that moment when Fisk is like explaining his whole plan to Maya or like walking a henchman through the plan. Like we needed to understand how he was luring her in, the trap he was setting for her, and the extent of his evil to try and wipe out this an entire group of people. Like that is next level evil. And like that would have made these moments all the more intense. Like sure the visuals are pretty harrowing, but like I don't know. I feel like him if we had known the plan and understand what he was doing and the evil that he was willing to unleash on this nation, that would have made that whole thing more exciting. It also would have helped us understand why the ancestors are showing up now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's not
Mm-hmm.
just out of the blue, but it's this monumental moment when she has to save not only her family, but
Mm.
her nation. And she cannot do it by herself. She needs the ancestor. Like it just would have made more sense.
See, now there are some stakes.
Right?
This is not about, this is, I mean, of course it's about Maya saving and her survival and whatnot, but it also the survival of her people. And then together that being that shared mission being the thing that begins to rebuild those bonds between her and her family because they now realize like, hey, we're fighting for the same things. Like the bonding power of something like that to believe in and fight for something bigger than yourself and to like figure out how to work out your differences for that goal, like that is some powerful stuff. Yeah, see,
Yeah.
that's another great version of the show.
Yeah. And then I think those themes of, you know, historical erasure of Native people, you
Mm-hmm.
know, white people doing a genocide on Native people, you know, erasing the culture, erasing the language, like all of these things would then make more sense and they would be really easily accessible themes for us to be thinking about and talking about. But I don't know, it's not set up correctly, I think, to lend itself to some of these deeper conversations and exploration of the deeper themes.
Well, over the course of these 5 episodes, we've successfully rewritten this show about 30 times. So
Mhm.
go us.
We sure have.
We've got
We have had
every
thoughts.
flavor that you can imagine. This is like going to the grocery store aisle in the freezer section. There's every flavor of
Mm.
ice cream possible.
Mhm.
I think we've done that for Echo.
Yeah, yeah. We have
You want
we have
Rocky
a few
Road?
different
Rocky
iterations.
Road. Yeah. All right. Well, let's give out some awards, shall we?
Yeah, award time.
First category, achievement in superheroing. Who gets this award and for which moment?
Yeah, I would like to give this award to Henry, who shot the dude with a rocket launcher from a distance with one shot. I'm like, how did you do that? Just so calm, cool, and collected in the middle of a crowd.
Yeah.
That that's some superhero shooting.
Mine is very related to this one, but it's also
Ooh.
his little wink for flair that he does pre-firing said incredibly accurate shot. Like
Excellent.
homeboy doesn't need to aim; he just needs to do a little wink.
Nah.
It's lined up. He's ready to go.
Maybe it's the ancestors too. You know, the ancestors were guiding Biscuit's monster truck and guiding Henry's one bullet. I don't
Yep.
know. I don't know how these powers work.
The ancestors were also guiding Biscuit through said junkyard to find the pieces that he
Very
needs.
true. Very true.
Herculean
Yeah.
task.
The lighting just came down, like shone down
Yes.
on the appropriate parts
Yep.
to build a monster truck. That's also what I was like
That's also
confused
really
about, is like,
yeah.
did you find a monster truck just buried in there? Did you find the parts to make your grandma's truck into a monster truck? Like, what's happening here? I guess we'll never know.
We won't. We'll never know. Category number 2, achievement in grit. Who gets this award and for what moment?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Biscuits for coming in hot with that monster truck and squishing some bad guys.
Oh, it's so good. That brought much joy to me. I love that.
It was so good. One of the
Um,
best moments of this episode.
yeah. My choice for this award is for Scully for his consistent
Mhm.
flirtation with Chula.
Oh, loved it. Yes.
It's so endearing, and he will not back down. It's very sweet. It's very good. It takes some grit to keep going,
Mhm.
even when Chula's
Yeah.
giving you a cold shoulder and it's all playful and
Mhm.
stuff, but still going for it, shooting shot.
See, here's the thing. I am not a big like romance fan, but I am here for some old people flirting. I think that's great. Scully, you do what you got to do, buddy.
Mhm.
You keep shooting your shot. I respect it.
He's so adorable. Him and Biscuits, man, just carrying the like charisma factor on the show. Really,
Yeah, it's true. They're great.
they get like 3 minutes per episode, but they are a glorious 3 minutes every time. Every time.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Uh huh. All right. Next category is achievement in words. Who is getting this award for what line?
Yeah, I'm giving it to Zane for the second before he perishes, saying, "Wait, what?"
Yes. That was a candidate for me too. Oh, it's so great.
Nice.
So good. Famous last words. I'm giving this award to Biscuits for the things that comes out of his mouth as he is squishing all the bad guys with his monster truck.
Love it.
He goes, "Not today, Nahuros, not today." And that was just
Yep.
triumphant, and the dopamine definitely hit in my brain.
Yeah, that was also a contender for mine. So I'm glad that we were on the same page with this episode.
Yeah. All right. Well, any final last thoughts about Echo overall? I think we've underscored a bunch of things over the past 5 episodes and conversations together, but any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean it's just what we've already been talking about. I think that there are moments of brilliance in this. I think that there are also a lot of disappointing moments. Um and since finishing this episode, I've been thinking about something that you and I have talked about a lot on Movies and Us. If you haven't checked out Movies and Us, go check out our movie review
Great.
podcast.
Good job.
But anytime, and I don't think this has happened lately, but there was a period of time a couple years ago when every time we would review a movie with a primarily Asian cast, we would talk about like there just aren't enough data points, and you would often be like disappointed in how the story unfolded, and like yay for representation, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's not great and like could use some work, and we just don't have enough representation. We don't have enough data points. And that's kind of how I feel about this. And like I
Mm-hmm.
want to celebrate this show because it's so good in regards to like showing deaf culture and showing native culture and even what it's like to create a show like this that is honoring of these different cultures, to show an amputee can be a superhero. Like all of these things are so great. And I just wish that this show was better, because I think it's great to have representation, but that's not enough. You know, we need representation and good storytelling. And those two don't need to be mutually exclusive, but they should be one and the same. And so I am still upset with the powers that be at Disney for not investing more money in this, because I really think that there's a lot of good in here. And my suspicion is if they had more money, this could be a top tier Marvel property. And instead, it's not. And I think these populations deserve to see a story like this and it be of a higher quality than it is. So that's just me being disappointed, but hopefully we will get more stories like this and they will just get better and better with time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's so good. I think there is this like celebration that, hey, this exists. But you're so right that if we look to what the future could be, like we want things like this, but really stellar quality. And we've seen that Marvel can handle some of these really important themes and topics and represent these people groups well in other parts of their IP. I mean, we had an amazing conversation about the Eternals and some of the ways that Marvel handled some of the deaf characters and some of the characters that dealt with different types of neurodiversity. Like they handled that so well. It was incredibly nuanced and beautiful, and those details really worked well together. And it's interesting because I feel like several times over the course of the past 5 episodes, we've kind of come back to this question around funding and resources, which are very tactical ways to help bolster pieces of IP that are showcasing stories from underrepresented people groups. And it does beg the question around, where do we choose to allocate our funds? And is it worth our time, money, attention, effort to do this well? And what are those standards that we want to set for ourselves? So, we think about this a lot in the workplace around shipping products, and like, will we commit to spending more time to build this to be accessible for everyone and not just get it out faster and only be accessible for X% of the population? And there are trade-offs. There are very real trade-offs that are made there, but it is so worth it. It is so worth it. And we've had 5 episodes to chat and talk and air our grievances, and I think even that is useful and important to signal to the powers that be, like, hey, we believe that there is better, and we see the good that you're doing. We're going to celebrate it, but we believe that there is better. And so we're able to kind of use our voices as well to talk about the things that don't work and let that be part of the discourse to demand for great storytelling and representation. We can do it all. We really can.
Yeah. And we deserve it. Like we deserve good storytelling, and we deserve to see stories like this. We deserve to see other, underrepresented groups. Not all superheroes are white, nor should they be, Diversity is good. It is healthy, and it is important for us to learn these other things and be exposed to these other things. So good try, Marvel. Keep doing it. We want more. Please invest in more of these stories, and don't just do it to say that you did it, but invest serious money in this, because it is worth it.
And we see those strokes of brilliance. So
yes,
capable of it. I think this is different from some of the other types of like Disney IP that are so clearly just trying to like force feed in diversity and inclusion and representation, and it just feels icky. Like, no, there's a lot of really great moments in this that are nuanced and are so meaningful and showcasing these important themes. So we see those, and we believe in more for it.
Yep. We want it.
All right, well, this was our review and discussion for episode 5, the series finale for Marvel's Echo. You can find it available on Hulu and Disney+. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of TV and Us. Our name sums it up. We're big fans of TV and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories. So everyone is welcome here, and we're so glad you spent time with us today as we continued and wrapped up our journey through Echo. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you tune into your favorite shows. Drop us a rating and review, letting us know your thoughts about this episode 5. You can connect with us on Instagram and Twitter at TBNSPod, or you can email us at tbnspod@gmail.com. We will be back with more TBNS very soon. And Sarah, when we say very, we really do mean very, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like keep an eye on your feeds because things are going to be changing very soon. I'm not going to tell you when. I'm not going to commit to that, but keep an eye in this space because season 4 of TBNS is coming up right around the corner.
So we hope you have an amazing week, and we're excited for what's cooking with some future TBNS content. And we hope that you'll come back and spend more time hanging out with us. All right, have an amazing week, and we'll see you soon.